Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and today we have a video courtesy of Frog in the Tier 10 German cruiser, the Hindenburg, and he's playing alongside DB Crutch, who brought themselves a gearing, and, well, it's going to be a Tier 10 match because you're in a Tier 10 ship, and the Hindi is a great ship at this tier. I really enjoyed kind of what happened to her when they kind of gave those mild buffs to the German line. Now, there was a time that these ships were kind of considered underpowered and not that strong, and now they've really found their place in the game and are probably one of the stronger Tier 10 cruisers. Definitely the tankiest and great at fighting from range. They've got the torps when you get in close, and some pretty trolly armor to go with all those hit points. Obvious downside with her is a longer detectability, and with the exception of a Moskva, every other cruiser can out-detect you if set up to do so, and that puts you at a disadvantage, in certain situations. But if you look at the map, read it well, you're never going to get snuck up on by something like a Zhao. Now in clan battles, that's exactly what we did, is we used the Zhao as a way of sneaking up to the Hindi. Hindi suddenly gets spotted and they turn out, giving you a perfect broadside. You dump a whole ton of damage in one volley, disengage and go dark. And you just keep repeating that. And it's, funny that some of these players never picked up what you're doing. And it's unfortunate that some never figured that out, but you take advantage of it. And really, you have to know where you're getting detected from and make the call. If that person is alone, you may just have to push at them, because trying to turn out and avoid, you end up eating a lot of damage sometimes. Other option could be to just stop and try to reverse, but then you're a sitting duck, and the Hindenburg is always a stronger ship when she is moving. Keep that rudder going, keep your speed up, and just dodge the shells coming your way. Now you can see DB Crutch has gone into the cap alongside a friendly cab, and they're against a gearing. So reasonably, this should work out pretty well for the green team. Meanwhile, Frog is just doing some long-range bombardment on these enemy Lions. A deadly ship, and really the first ship of the British battleship line that really feels like that line should be, if that makes sense. You read about some of the features that the Tier 10s have, and you might expect that earlier on. The big damage control, just great HE performance, and there's definitely tiers where you just don't have that. There's tiers where, yes, they're very strong. I'm thinking Tier 5 is an option. But then you get to something like the Monarch and it feels like junk compared to its predecessor. So then you get to the Lion and it feels great. You have a good heal, your HE works like the British line should, and you can have some strong games. I'd say one of the big downfalls to those British battleships is so often the players choose to sit back and just try to farm, and really in a battleship that's not something you can do the whole game. There's times to do it. Early on is definitely a time to be doing that. You don't want to overcommit early on and lose all your hit points to, say, some torpedoes, which this Montana may be about to do. And you can see Frog, with not a lot targeting him, is pretty free to kind of just sit and throw HE. And it's a little unfortunate, almost 20 shells in now, that he still hasn't gotten a fire, but it'll come in due time. Now sadly, Crutch's torps all miss the Montana, but you wait long enough, that Monty is going to have to come out the other side of the island. And if he's expecting to potentially be facing some torps, it's entirely possible that he stops up feeling he can duke them, or juke them. Now, so far, I'd say things are going really well for Frog's team. They took C, were completely uncontested over there, so they've managed to wrap down and start kind of kiting down behind this enemy team. And as they encompass more and more of the enemy team, there's less and less that team can do to protect their broadsides. Now, unfortunately, a friendly cruiser does get finished off, probably a set of torps from one of those DDs in the cap, but things will be okay. You can see the Montana pushing hard. He's pushing DB Crutch, wants to get in there. I think he realized that the torps were already in the water as he sailed by, so they shouldn't be ready, you know, for a couple minutes. And he makes the call to push in, and while he may be able to get to DB Crutch, and Crutch does get killed, that Montana is so far out of position now, he's going to get finished off. So you just traded, you know, a high health Montana for a Gearing, which some people would argue that's a big plus, but this early in the game, being down a battleship takes away a huge chunk of your alpha. Now, being down a destroyer, sure, it takes away your ability to contest caps, but as more and more of kind of the big ships get removed, cruisers are just free to run around the map. And it's one of the really nice things in a cruiser is when all enemy battleships get finished off, because they're the ships that are going to really dunk on you from huge range when you're not expecting it. You know, whereas a bunch of other cruisers, reasonably, you're going to be spotting each other. You know where the other cruiser is going to be, so you're able to contest them. And right now, Frog's just doing his best to put some damage in. Just work some ships down, keep himself at decent hit points, and, you know, I think he was hoping things would go better over at B, but you can see, I think it was the Minnow, pushed around the island and got torped by the Yu Yang and or Gearing and just finished off. And that loses Frog's team the flank. And that's big, because now Aditi is going to go over, take C, and they're going to be without a cap, they're going to be down ships, and really have no map position. Because much like they were encompassing the enemy team for a bit there, now the enemy team is starting to wrap up around them. And Frog's kind of in that position now where he's committed. Thankfully, this Lion so far has been shooting at the friendly Iowa just over Frog's shoulder, but that'll change eventually. Now, as he enters 6 kilometers, you know, Frog knows, hey, I've got torps. I'm getting into the range where, you know, this engagement is won by me. And really, that Lion is not playing this all that smart. You can see him trying to prepare for a big broadside. And if I were Frog, I would wait for that volley to come before turning to throw the torpedoes, but the Hindi does have some good torp arcs, so he didn't have to show too much side. The Lion never got a volley off, and, well, there goes one of the 2 enemy battleships. And Frog barely ate any damage to do that. And that's one of the big advantages to a cruiser at high tier, is if you get into that kind of medium engagement range, you know, 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, somewhere in there, you're able to push on a battleship so much more effective than they are able to stop you. And, you know, there is a Zhao there, but he's using HE, and sure, Frog won't like the HE and all the fires it lights, but it's not wiping him out. And as he gets close here, widespread's one set, and he's got to be careful, has to get those torps in the water before they hit, you know, engagement range, and I think they actually did. You know, looking at the timers, it's hard to say. I don't know that Frog got the torps off, and perhaps he saw that he was too close for them to arm, so he just slammed the brakes on and was hoping to stay alive. Now he's got a damage control here, and really, or not damage control, repair party. He needs to be repairing that health. You know, he just exchanged a lot of hit points to get rid of 2 battleships, and, you know, ideally it would have gone a little better. There's the repair party. I definitely think a little late. The Zhao has a very good chance at finishing Frog off right now. And, well, now that Frog's tail on, the Zhao is using AP, of course. And in a situation like this, if you're in a Zhao, just use HE. It can do so much damage and works in all situations. You know, 2 volleys right now, Frog is more than likely dead if the Zhao's got good aim. And you can see the Zhao has switched to HE. There's a fire. Thankfully, damage control is available. And now Frog is outside detection. 12.3, that's where his hard detect is. Hold your fire, just fall back, cycle through all those repair parties. That's really got to be the mantra right now. Took out 2 ships. got a bunch of damage on the board, stopped the push around the flank, and things have started to even up. And the enemy team committed a lot of their power in those two lions pushing like that. And it was honestly a little silly for them to do it, but you see that they're in a div, so you expect that. They're going to stick together and try to work as a team. Now, unfortunately, they were busy trying to hit an Iowa who is decently angled to them over working down the cruiser, charging them with torps. So it didn't work out for them. Meanwhile, the team, they fought back. They've got some kills, a couple thanks to Frog. They still don't have a cap. But because of the kills, they're not really that far out on points. Now sadly, they lose a Baltimore there, which you need every radar ship you can have right now. And with Frog being the only cruiser left, that means there's no radars. And that's going to make it really hard to run down these enemy destroyers. Yuyang and Gearing, if you don't have radar at this tier to find them, they kind of have to make a mistake to get spotted. You know, both have fairly low detection, not shimma low, but easily low enough to sail around all day throwing torps at battleships. And you can see that enemy Zhao gets redetected, a couple of the battleships focusing him. This is a kill that needs to happen if they're going to stay in this fight. The Zhao's repairing, and looks like he might get away. He also got his torps off at the turret, so if one of those hits, that could be huge in dealing the turrets a fatal blow. Looks as if, well, definitely the first volley ran out, and I would say the second volley will too. And I can guarantee you Shosh Mean is breathing a sigh of relief right now, but things are far from over. They've almost got a cap, which will at least slow the hemorrhaging of points, and the Yami just finished off the Republic. So that pulls you back to close, but you need kills, and this Zhao's on low health. I mean, 24k on the other Zhao, it's still above half health, but a well-placed shot from a Yami or any of these battleships could finish that off. There's a Neptune somewhere, more than likely in that smoke, which, once again, an easy kill if you can get them spotted. This is why having a radar would be so huge right now, is you could put it in a position and just spot and kill one of these enemy ships who, you know, is sneaking around undetected. And as Frog sails forward, he gets spotted, and that basically tells you the range of the destroyer. So the DD's either over here or down here. The Neptune momentarily gets spotted there, and I think it was right as he fired his guns, and his smoke is running out. So now Frog is 100% spotted. The Neptune's out in the open. Frog puts some shells into the air. Does he? There they go. Unfortunately, Montana far quicker to the draw. Finishes it off, but that's another ship. So you're now 5v5. You're still down caps, but looks like all of the enemy's torps were misfires. Well, you still have to be wary of the Yuyang somewhere, and no, I take that back. The Yami did take a hit. And right now you can see this Montana in the south focusing Malancy over here. Really, I'd be going for Revolt. Get rid of the low health cruiser. And the Monty's even sailing that direction, so get the guns going there. Frog knows we need a cap. If you don't have one in this situation, it's gonna be over, and the Ismo lands a huge hit on that Zhao. And that was kind of what I was talking about. The Zhao is one of those ships that can go from pretty much full health to dead in a volley. And with the the remaining enemy Zhao still spotted there in the south, safe to say he's a goner as well. And there he goes. Now things are looking a lot better. Frog's got just about a minute 10 of Hydra left. He's heading for a cap. They're only just behind on points. So once they get a cap, they will pretty quickly take the point lead, assuming they don't lose anyone. And really, the ship that might get lost is the Ismo. Thankfully, has a repair party going, so probably going to stay in it and is sailing in the right direction. They're not charging in towards the enemy. Here comes some enemy torps, definitely from the gearing. And, well, RNG gave Frog a nice little set of gaps to sail into. Just a little kick of the rudder one way, then the other. Will have him slip right through those torpedo volleys. And this is always a situation that's uncomfortable, is just sailing around spotted. You can see one targeting him, almost definitely the rune, but there's no way Frog's going to get the cap right now, and this is where having a radar would be so monumental. You know, they're 32 points down, easily regainable, especially since that's essentially one kill one way or another. And, well, the rune had to disengage. Frog is still spotted, but the rune is unable to engage. You can see Yu Yang Torps coming in from the north, so you know where he is, and he's more than likely who is detecting you. So you just got to be wary of that. The gearing last fired torp somewhere over here, so just keep focusing on where the threat could be coming from, and you can stay in this. Now sadly, the rune is able to just blind fire. Nothing's in a position to be detecting him as he shoots, and he keeps getting resets on this cap. And the rune's smart, switching targets. So, you know, Frog had a whole ton of the cap points, Frog got hit. Now the Iowa had a whole ton of the cap points, Iowa got hit. And if the rune can keep doing that, it'll take all day for them to get this cap. Now, thankfully, Iowa's what's getting focused, so for Frog, you know, feels pretty safe right now. And you just hope they can get this cap, because they still do need to close some points, and you need time to do that. Sadly, right as it's about to be taken, the rune lands another set of shells. And in this situation, there's nothing you can do as a team of battleships. And this is one of the issues kind of I was alluding to early on with the British line, is so many people are just prone to sitting at the back of the map shooting all day that sure, they've got tons of health late game and they get big damage out of it, but you know, it doesn't matter how many hit points you have. If you have no way of detecting an enemy, things aren't going to work out, and this one doesn't. The DDs carry the day, just out spotting with the rune, resetting and harassing. And a minute 40 left. Well, let's just jump to the post battle. And end of the day, it doesn't work out, and it sucks. Frog did a good job, 137,000 damage, got 7 torps, 2 kills, and did a lot to try to carry his team to victory. But when you don't have spotting and you have no means of getting that spotting, and you're forced to try to take caps late, it can just be near impossible, and you saw that right at the end. 2 of them sitting in there, but because the DD had them outspotted and the rune was keeping himself at distance, just trying to reset the cap, he prevented this battle from ever being able to be even. And then the second you do take the cap, well, one of those DDs just goes and slips into the other one you've got, and you're stuck fighting for that. So if you're a battleship, you know, yeah, early on, don't charge forward, but you can't spend the entire game sitting so far back that your hit points haven't been brought into the battle. The biggest thing you can do in a team environment like this is share your hit points. If you've got a lot and see a buddy next to you that doesn't have many, get in front of them. Take some of that beating from them. Try to draw attention away. Let them use that repair party and come back. And that's really how you take over these games at a higher level. As you can see, Frog top of the losing team, and sadly, it was the losing team. Anyways, thank you, Frog, for sending this in. It did get tense there for a bit. You got a lot of torps off. I loved watching that. And the Hindi is great for that. She can get in close like that and just ruin people's days. Anyways, I hope everyone else enjoyed it. It's good to be back. If you did, please consider subscribing or giving this one a thumbs up. And as always, I'm Qckslvrslash. I'll have another one for you all later.